In this video, we've researched and compared different CDP platforms and show you what each one is actually best at. You'll see options built for e-commerce brands that just want to drive revenue with email, SMS, and push. You'll see options for data teams that care about clean event pipelines and warehouse sync. We'll also compare options built for huge global enterprises that need strict privacy controls, real-time personalization, and AI at ridiculous scale. By the end, you'll know which one sounds like you and which ones you can safely ignore. So let's get started. Klaviyo is a B2C CRM with an embedded customer data platform called Klaviyo Data Platform. It pulls data from your store, ads, forms, and apps, then builds a real-time profile for each person, so your marketing and service teams are looking at the same story. The standard platform comes with profiles, identity resolution, predictive analytics, segmentation, and hundreds of native integrations. Data sticks around for the long haul, so you can build lifetime views without worrying about events expiring. It fits best if you sell online and want your campaigns and your data in one place. The out-of-the-box connections cover the big commerce platforms like Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, Salesforce Commerce Cloud, and more, plus ad networks and tools many stores already use. Because the CDP lives inside Klaviyo, you can unify, analyze, and activate in the same workspace, instead of wiring a separate CDP to your email and SMS tool. Profiles update in real time as people browse, buy, and click. Klaviyo links identities across channels using common identifiers, so one person's email, phone, device, and event history come together under a single record. You can clean and standardize profile data with built-in no-code transformations, which helps keep properties consistent for segmentation and reporting. Segmentation and activation are where most brands spend their time. You can build segments on behaviors, attributes, and predictions, then push them straight into flows, campaigns, or support handoffs without extra sync steps. Typical triggers include events like started checkout or placed order, list joins, properties changing, or someone entering a segment. If you need to move data to other tools during a journey, Flow webhooks can post JSON to any endpoint, and the webhooks API is available for advanced KDP customers and app partners. Klaviyo's predictions are useful for lifecycle planning. The platform can forecast next order date, churn risk, and customer lifetime value, and you can plug those predictions into segments, flows, and creative. That makes it easier to prioritize VIP, save at-risk customers, or change offers based on margin. Activation goes beyond email. You can coordinate SMS, push, and in-app messages alongside email, and you can sync audiences to ad platforms like Meta and Google for prospecting and retargeting. Sign-up forms and pop-ups are built in for list growth, and product recommendation blocks and product feeds bring your catalog into messages without heavy setup. Reviews are also part of the stack now, so you can collect and feature social proof while keeping that data tied to the same profiles you market to. For teams with data engineering needs, Advanced Klaviyo Data Platform adds the knobs you expect from a fuller CDP. You can standardize and transform profile data at scale, build custom properties, run hosted code functions on events, and send data out with webhooks. You can also sync Klaviyo data to your warehouse, and Klaviyo now supports reverse ETL-style profile syncs, so models in BigQuery or Snowflake can flow back into power segments and personalization. Governance and compliance features are part of the day-to-day workflow. Consent is stored on each profile for email, SMS, and push, and there are tools and guidance for GDPR and CCPA requests like access and deletion. Deliverability monitoring and peer group benchmarks help you keep an eye on list health and placement, so you can adjust sending as needed. If you run a consumer brand and your center of gravity is e-commerce, Klaviyo is easy to recommend because it merges a practical CDP with the channels you use every day. It is strong when you want fast time to value, lots of native commerce integrations, predictive insights you can actually act on, and simple ways to push segments into email, SMS, push, and ads without extra middleware. It is worth a closer look if you plan to use your warehouse and need no-code transformations, webhooks, and data syncs to round out your stack, since Advanced KDP now covers those cases. If your needs lean more toward a standalone enterprise CDP that feeds many downstream systems without running marketing in the same place, you may find you still want additional tools in the mix. But for most DTC and retail teams, the all-in-one approach is the draw. On pricing and packaging, Klaviyo's core plans are based on contact tiers for email and SMS, and the embedded CDP features in the standard platform are included there. The Advanced KDP add-on is a separate subscription that unlocks data management, analysis, and export features aimed at larger or more technical teams. If you want to test those, Klaviyo offers our audience a free trial. You can find the link below this video in the description. 2. ExpertSender. ExpertSender is another e-commerce first customer data platform with built-in marketing automation. So the same place that stores your customer, order, and web behavior data is the place you use to send email, SMS, and web push at scale. The company positions the CDP as the command center for online stores, with tools for consented data collection, segmentation, and omni-channel activation in one interface. If you are coming from a classic ESP and want something purpose-built for storefronts, Data in the platform revolves around a customer record and a simple identity model. You can decide which identifiers you rely on and match profiles by email, phone, CRM ID, or a generated GUID, and you can extend profiles with your own attributes. Consent management and a self-service preference center are baked in, which helps if you sell in regions with strict privacy rules. You can define separate consents for email and SMS, handle web push opt-ins differently, and expose a branded page where customers manage their data and channels. That design maps cleanly to GDPR-style requirements. Web and product data flow in through a lightweight tracking layer that mirrors common GA4 e-commerce events. There is a clear guide to the data layer names and payloads, and the platform will even accept a private event prefix if you want to keep your analytics setup separate. Required events cover product views, carts, and purchases, with optional wishlist events, so you can trigger journeys and recommendations off of actual browsing. Once data lands, you segment and activate it. Segmentation is real-time and can reference profile fields, behaviors, RFM scores, and purchases, and each segment is directly usable in campaigns and automations. The RFM module lets you score recency, frequency, and spend over a window you choose, then label groups like champions or at risk, and build audiences straight from those labels. Activation spans the usual e-commerce channels. You can build newsletters in a drag-and-drop editor and run A/B tests on subject, preview, sender, and content. And you can send SMS and web push from the same workspace with consent checks and UTM tagging wired in. Web push has nice touches like browser previews, logo requirements for view tracking, and scheduling with a lifespan so short promos don't linger. Automations live in a scenario canvas and are tied tightly to retail moments. You can trigger flows on signups, scheduled cohorts, abandoned browse and cart, add to cart, order placed, or price drop on a product someone viewed or saved, then branch or filter by segment and required consents. Personalization is helped by two native pieces, a product feed and an AI-assisted recommendation engine. You can bring in a catalog feed in common formats or let the system self-build from page traffic, then drop product widgets into emails, on-site banners, and flows. If you use Shopify, there is an official app that syncs customers, orders, and consents in real time, adds the tracking script, and exposes events for abandoned cart and price drop automations. There are guides for Magento, WooCommerce, and PrestaShop too, plus an API key per business unit if you want to push or pull data directly. Reporting covers campaign stats and revenue in your chosen currency, and there is a customer dashboard for growth, consent mix, and quick access to each customer 360 profile. In practice, this means you can hop from a segment or a report into a single customer view and see their orders, behavior, and consents in context. Pricing is tied to the size and activity of the audience you can actually market to, not your entire database. The CDP subscription is based on customers with at least one marketing consent and on engaged sessions on your site, while recommendation pricing follows traffic and usage metrics like page views and active users. That model tends to make sense for brands that are pushing hard on first-party data and want costs aligned to addressable reach. 3. TreasureData. TreasureData is an enterprise customer data platform built to unify data at massive scale and make it usable for marketing, service, analytics, and personalized experiences. The company positions the product as an intelligent CDP with AI across the stack, designed for global 2000 complexity and reliability. If you are evaluating tools for a global brand with many systems, multiple regions, and strict privacy needs, this is the tier TreasureData plays in. Under the hood, it runs as a managed SaaS with batch, streaming, and real-time processing in one place, now offered in a hybrid model that lets you keep data in your own lake or warehouse and still activate it through the platform. Live Connect provides zero-copy access to Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery, and Redshift, so teams can query and activate without constantly moving data. Getting data in is straightforward. There are hundreds of pre-built connectors, plus SDK, API, loaders, and workflow tools. So you can capture web and mobile events, ingest cloud and on-prem sources, and bring in data from AdTech and MarTech with minimal custom code. The public docs reference 170+ official integrations, and the product pages highlight a library north of 400 when you include partner sources, which matches what practitioners see in the catalog. Once the data lands, the platform builds unified profiles with real-time identity stitching. You can stitch on multiple identifiers, handle both known and anonymous interactions, and use deterministic and probabilistic methods under a feature set TreasureData calls Diamond Record. Marketers work in Audience Studio to explore profiles, create segments, and switch between batch and real-time audiences depending on the use case. You can define parent segments that update in real time as new events stream in, then use those audiences across journeys and destinations. Journey orchestration ties behavior to actions. You can design journeys that respond to events, attributes, and segment changes and connect them to the channels and tools you already use. If you prefer to automate outside the UI, there is a REST API for journey objects, so engineers can manage states and transitions programmatically and plug TreasureData into existing workflow systems. Activation covers the standard destinations you would expect in enterprise stacks. The integrations library spans ad platforms, marketing automation, messaging, and data targets. And the marketing automation section shows how payload mapping and scheduling work so you can push audiences with consent checks intact. If an edge connector is missing, the company emphasizes custom builds and partner options to close gaps quickly. Governance is a core pillar. The product includes label-based data catalogs, granular access control, audit logs, and consent management tied to profiles, with client-side consent APIs for the web. The trust and security pages list all the certifications you can think of. However, there are some downsides people call out. Many teams mention a learning curve and say you need real technical ownership to keep schemas tidy, wire sources, and get the most from queries and workflows. Marketers without SQL or engineering support can feel blocked early on. Cost can be hard to forecast. Users point to add-ons and pricing complexity that make budgeting tricky as volumes and use cases expand, even though the platform scales well once it is set up. At very large scale, a few users talk about workflow or logging slowdowns and maintenance overhead, which shows up once data volumes get big and lots of jobs are running. Pricing and packaging target enterprise buyers, but the move to a hybrid architecture with zero copy and the newer no compute pricing are meant to reduce the pain of double paying for warehouse compute and unpredictable query bills. Fourth segment. Segment, now part of Twilio, is a customer data platform that focuses on getting clean, real-time data from every digital touchpoint into one reliable pipeline, then fanning that data out to the tools where your teams actually work. At its core, you have Connections, which gives you SDKs and APIs for web, mobile, server, and cloud apps, so you can instrument once and reuse everywhere, with warehouse and SaaS sources alongside JavaScript, iOS, and Android libraries. What makes Segment feel different is how much of the plumbing is productized. Protocols lets you define a tracking plan, validate every event against it, and automatically flag or even block bad data before it pollutes downstream tools. That reduces schema drift and keeps properties consistent across teams, which matters a lot once multiple apps and agencies are touching your implementation. Actions. Destinations add fine-grained control when you activate, so you can map fields, set conditions, and shape payloads per destination without writing glue code. If you still need custom logic. On the identity side, Unify pulls behaviors and attributes from all your sources into a single profile per person using real-time identity resolution. You get a live view of each customer that can include traits, events, and computations, and you can sync those profiles back to your warehouse to keep analytics and activation in lockstep. Segment is very pragmatic about data gravity. You can stream raw events to cloud warehouses like Snowflake, Redshift, and BigQuery for analytics, then use reverse ETL to bring modeled data back out to tools like your CRM, ads, and lifecycle platforms. Reverse ETL runs queries you define, computes deltas in the warehouse, and syncs only what changed so you are not pushing full tables every time. The integrations catalog is broad, which matters if you want to avoid custom connectors. Segment currently advertises more than 700 pre-built connectors across sources and destinations, and its developer and public APIs. Common complaints about Segment tend to cluster around cost, complexity, and the work it takes to get long-term value. Many reviewers say pricing adds up as traffic and event volumes grow, and that budgeting can feel tricky once you move beyond a small implementation, even though the entry plan looks straightforward on the pricing page. People also talk about a learning curve. Teams often need dedicated ownership to design the tracking plan, keep schemas clean, and manage mappings, and some users describe the product as powerful but complex, especially when multiple apps and agencies are touching the same workspace. Another theme is that Segment is more plumbing than campaign tool, which is by design but can surprise marketers who expect built-in analytics and journey builders. Users mention limited native analytics and the need to pair Segment with a warehouse or downstream tools for reporting and orchestration, which is fine if your data team lives in SQL, but less ideal if you wanted an all-in-one suite. 5. Salesforce Data Cloud. Salesforce Data Cloud is Salesforce's customer data platform built into the Einstein 1 stack. It pulls data from many sources, standardizes it into a common model, and makes it usable across sales, service, marketing, and commerce so your teams see the same customer and can act on that context in real time. Under the hood, it runs on an open lakehouse architecture that uses Apache Iceberg, which lets you keep data at massive scale and connect to external engines without locking it into one system. It also supports zero-copy connectivity to lakes and warehouses like Databricks and Snowflake, so you can query or mount external tables instead of ETLing them into the CDP. If your analytics team already lives in those tools, this approach can reduce duplication, latency, and cost. Getting data in is straightforward. There's a growing catalog of native connectors and partner integrations for first-party apps, ad platforms, cloud storage, and warehouses. Once data lands, Data Cloud maps it to data model objects and relationships, and you can build data graphs to materialize the slices of profile, transaction, and behavioral data your marketers, analysts, or agents need most. Identity resolution then links records across systems using deterministic and fuzzy matching rules to unify profiles cleanly. Segmentation and insights sit on top of that foundation. You can build segments from unified profiles and events, compute metrics like lifetime value or churn drivers with calculated insights, and then activate audiences out to destinations such as Marketing Cloud, Commerce Cloud, and ad platforms. Activation targets handle the handshake to each destination, so marketers can push or refresh audiences on a schedule or trigger. If your workflow starts in Tableau, analysts can even publish a segment to Data Cloud straight from a viz for marketers to pick up and activate. It's built for real time. You can stream events in, evaluate segments on the fly, and trigger automations with data actions and Data Cloud triggered flows, so things like alerts, journey starts, case updates, or in-session personalization happen in seconds. Salesforce has been rolling out sub-second profile, insight, and action capabilities, which is helpful when you need to react during a live session on web or in service. Beyond rows and columns, Data Cloud can ingest unstructured content like emails, PDFs, chat transcripts, and pages, generate vector embeddings, and index them for semantic search. That unlocks use cases like grounding Einstein Copilot prompts with both structured attributes and unstructured context, so answers, briefs, and suggestions are specific to each customer. You can wire those prompts to data graphs, so the AI always pulls from the right, permissioned slice of your data. A few themes show up in user feedback when people talk about the downsides. Cost comes up a lot, both in absolute price and in how the consumption credit model can feel opaque until you've lived with it, which makes budgeting harder and can surprise smaller teams as they scale. There's also a learning curve. Reviewers say onboarding new users takes time. The UI can feel dense at first, and getting your data mapped cleanly into the standard objects is not trivial. Performance is another common complaint. Some users notice slowness during peak periods or when working with larger datasets, and a few report ingestion jobs feeling slower than expected until pipelines are optimized. Pricing is mostly consumption-based, so costs track with what you store, compute, and activate. Salesforce publishes list pricing for credits, storage, and add-ons like real-time profiles and data spaces, but the final mix typically depends on your volumes, destinations, and real-time needs, which is why most companies size it with their Salesforce AE. If you prefer to start small, the credit model makes it easier to pilot specific use cases and scale what works.